the skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost. Lead the way every day. Find success, it's here to stay. Rise and shine, it's your time. Skill up, raise the climb. Navigate, innovate. It's your fate, don't be late. Get the skills, be the boss. No more time to feel lost. Lead the way every day. Find success, it's here to stay.
If you're a new manager or hoping to be a new manager, join us in our exploration into what managers need to know. This program will set you up for success by building your knowledge and confidence in the skills you need to be effective. Hello, and welcome to the first of our 5-session series on what managers need to know about presentation skills. We are going to be looking at conducting a self-assessment, tailoring to the audience, planning the presentation, checking posture, presence, and projection, as well as ways to handle anxiety, and then how to make it memorable. So how many of you get very uncomfortable when you have to give a presentation? It's a pretty natural feeling. Many people get anxious. And as we talk and look at this whole issue of presentation skills, hopefully we'll start to allay some of your fears and concerns. So welcome. So we're going to first start with conducting a self-assessment. So what are the characteristics of an effective presentation? Please think about that for a moment. And think about ones that you've seen or that you've presented yourself. Well, let's look at how we could answer this. In the presentation presenter self-assessment, we're going to look at the opening, overcoming the 6 major speaking faults, overall body language, powerful and persuasive language, visual aids and handouts, handling questions, conclusion, and summary. And as part of that conclusion, we're talking about a call to action. So the opening. Think about yourself, rate yourself accordingly, or rate the most recent presentation you saw accordingly. I appeared confident and purposeful before starting to speak. So you were not hanging off a dais really concerned about how you are presenting yourself, looking nervous, ready to collapse. I got the audience's attention, and in a positive way. I directed the audience. I got them focused on what it is that I wanted to talk about. And I revealed myself. And we're not talking about doing a striptease here. We're not talking about making yourself completely vulnerable. But if there's a reason why you feel strongly about what you're presenting, this is a good place to say that. Overcoming the 6 major speaking faults. My purpose was clearly stated. I had a clear pattern of organization. There was a beginning, a middle, and an end. My transitions were clear. I had support for the information. I wasn't just blue skying it. I was able to reference some documentation or some experience that would support what you're saying. My voice was clear, varied, and interesting. It's very rare that I hear someone who is a monotone, but sometimes when we're very nervous, we can keep a rather flat tone, and we don't want that. My presentation helped solve the audience's problems and met its needs. Now, these may be problems and needs that the audience wasn't aware they had, but you have convinced them that's an issue. I kept the audience's attention and got them involved. I strongly support a more facilitative presentation where you're not just lecturing at people, but you're calling on people, asking them questions, asking them to respond to those questions. Our overall body language, I made good use of visual aids and room setup. If you're going to use visual aids, make sure that they can be seen, and they can be seen from everywhere around the room. So you want to check sight lines, go and stand in different places in the auditorium or wherever you're presenting, and make sure that people can see what you're projecting. My gestures and posture were confident. What we're talking about is not being there, holding on to yourself, praying, holding on to the rostrum with white-knuckled hands. We're talking about looking comfortable. And we'll talk later, in a later session, about how you do that, how you get yourself comfortable. I smiled and made eye contact with the audience. And this is where it's helpful to find some friendly faces in the audience. And as a matter of fact, at the very beginning, before you go into your presentation, as the audience members are coming in, some people find it very much easier, if they're presenters, to greet people and ask them about themselves and ask what brought them there. So you can actually refer to them and their stories later. Then you have a friendly face in the audience. Powerful and persuasive language. I used colorful, relevant examples. And people really need 3 examples for it to really stick. I avoided passive language. And I use benefit statements and emotional appeals to persuade. So what's in it for the audience? That's what you're answering here. Visual aids and handouts. My materials were well prepared. My visual aids were easy to see and read. And when handling questions, I maintain control, which doesn't mean that you have to answer a question completely. Sometimes it's easier to pass it back to the audience. Well, what do the rest of you think? Does anybody else have something that they'd like to say about that? And I always ask when we're done discussing a question, was that responsive? I'm not asking, was it answered completely? Because sometimes we can't do that. And conclusion. I summarized key points. I included a call to action, and my conclusion was strong and measurable. The very last thing you want to do when you are presenting, the thing that you don't want to do, is to just say, well, I guess that's all I have to say. And notice how all the energy goes out of you, the energy goes out of the room, and people think, well, if you don't feel strongly about this, then why should I? So you have to go out with a bang. And a summary. I accomplished my purpose. My presentation was helpful, interesting, and persuasive. I'm sorry, I have my cat who wants to be part of this today. Let's talk. If you would like help creating effective presentations, schedule time to talk with me using that URL code or the QR code there. Next week, we're going to talk about how to tailor it to the audience. And I'd like you to be thinking about when you make presentations or you have an upcoming presentation, is your audience going to be receptive? Is what you are preparing going to be something they want to hear? Because depending on whether they want to hear it or not, depending on what they think they already know about it or don't really know about it, is going to help you tailor what your presentation is and how you proceed with that. So I'll look forward to seeing you next week. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Thank you so much for coming and participating in our discussion of what managers need to know. You can find the videos of this and previous sessions on my YouTube channel or under events on my LinkedIn profile. I'll look forward to seeing you again next week.
Get the skills, be the boss, no more time to feel lost. Lead the way, every day, find success, it's here to stay. Get the skills, be the boss, no more time to feel lost. Lead the way, every day, find success, it's here to stay. It's here to stay. Oh, it's here to stay. It's here to stay. Yeah. Get the skills, be the boss, no more time to feel lost.